Hey everybody, it's John DePietro for GreatSellingResults.com and TopEntrepreneur.tv. I am here just outside of New York City talking with one of the most respected salespeople and sales trainers in the entire United States, and I want you to meet my former colleague, Mr. Dave Drucker. David.
How you doing?
Welcome.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Why don't you tell us a little about your selling background, and you're in the media world, and you're in the most competitive market in the entire world, New York City. A little bit about your background.
I have been, yes. Well, I started off in central telephone sales right out of college.
Telephone sales?
Telephone sales.
So you majored in Bell 101 or something?
I majored in picking up the phone and dialing for dollars. Worked my way into field sales. Excelled there. I've always been a top performer. Then went to another company, excelled there as well, and then got into management and started passing on my knowledge on to people that worked for me.
David, what is one of the biggest issues that you see with new salespeople coming into the field today, regardless of what the product is, but talk about some of the issues that you deal with as a manager?
There are numerous issues, but I think the top issue that I see today is that people who think they have the gift of gab and can talk are naturally great salespeople, and those are the people that absolutely come in and are very surprised at how fast they can fail.
Can fail?
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
Well, if you're not listening, if you're just talking because you think you have to talk and present, and you're very much product focused into what you've put together as a presentation.
Features and benefits of your stuff without doing any research on the client.
Exactly. You're going to turn off the client so fast. And then these people wonder why they don't get callbacks. And I think that's one of the things that I see.
Now, you have told me earlier when we were discussing that there are really 4 categories of prospects that you put all people into. Can you tell me a little bit about what those are?
Well, I mean, as you have your friends, you treat people differently, and it certainly shouldn't be any different in sales. You have 4 types of categories of personality. One is a doer, who's an A-type. One is an actor, who it's all about them. One is a thinker, who really doesn't do anything out of sequence. And one is a friend, who really does not want to disappoint.
So is it safe to say that the seller should try to immediately find out what type of person they're dealing with and then run with that
Absolutely,
trait?
absolutely. If you're not speaking their language and what they feel comfortable in an environment that they're comfortable with, you're probably not going to be communicating effectively to them. Thus, whatever comes out of your mouth, even if it's the greatest thing, it will benefit their company. It's not going to be heard. And you'll be surprised at the results.
Talk about the salesperson that all they do is talk about their features and benefits and the prices and etc. without doing any research on the client.
Well, they're probably talking over the client. You know, I have a story I tell every time I do a training seminar. And you always go to a barbecue, and at the barbecue you always hear the one guy who's talking by the fire, the barbecue, and he keeps going on and he goes, you know what, I really can talk, I should be in sales. Meanwhile, if you look around that person at the barbecue, everybody's probably turned off a little bit because one person's talking and nobody else can get a word in edgewise. So it's not a dialogue. It's kind of like, not a lecture, but something like a talking to.
The me person.
The me person.
Now, as a manager, especially a sales manager, how do you rectify that situation outside of firing the person?
Well, we don't try and fire people. We try and work with their qualities. People who get into sales usually have some quality that you try and bring out of them. If you want to get somebody to listen, you bring them in a room and you actually have a conversation with them where they don't talk and they actually have to listen to what you say, digest it for about a day, come back and have a talk to me about what they heard and how they interpreted what I heard.
Okay.
And then we go from there to see where we are, if they're right on target or if they were just in another world just waiting to get that next word out, that they didn't listen to what their manager said, more importantly what their clients were saying.
So research on the client. I mean, today with the internet, I mean, there's really no reason for a salesperson to make a first-time call and say, tell me about your business, right?
Yeah, I mean, today every salesperson will look at the internet and say, what's going on in the industry? What's going on with the competitors? But here's something that you really should be doing as a salesperson. Who are you calling, and when do they want to be talked to? I used to tell the people that work for me.
What do you mean by that? You mean time of day, or you mean time of
day.
Buying cycle, or what?
If you want to reach the VIP, you got to call them before 8 o'clock when the gatekeeper's not there.
8 o'clock, before 8 o'clock, and after closing hours too?
After closing hours, and there's different types. I mean, I used to tell people who work for me, between 7:30 and 8 o'clock, don't come in my office unless the world's on fire, because I'm doing my thing and setting up my day. If you get to me at 8 o'clock, between 8 and 8:30, I'm probably more receptive to hear you. I'm probably more receptive to respond to you. And that's exactly what you have to do with clients. Taking it a step further, you have to understand through gatekeepers and through coaches within the company what type of personality that you're dealing with, and then talk to them in their language and in a format that they're comfortable with.
Now, what do you mean by their language? Because so many people, like take the radio world, they're coming in and talking about cost per point, cost per thousand, average quarter hour. The client doesn't really care about that, do they?
No, they care about results. And the client, if you want to talk to somebody, you want to talk to a doer, say, an A-type personality, you just want to get to the bottom line. If you want to talk to the actor, the me person, you got to talk about what's in it for them. If you want to talk about the thinker, you want to talk about how everything comes together sequentially and how the numbers fit in. And if you're talking about the friend, you want to talk about how they're going to make everybody happy around them so that the company can make money. So there's a lot of different aspects to a way to approach it.
How important are first impressions when salespeople are making calls?
It's the most important thing that you do as a salesperson. You only get one time to make a first impression, and this is something that a lot of salespeople know. But if you make a bad first impression, chances are you're never going to get back in. And once you mess up that first impression, it's usually a dead end for people.
David, you know, when we talk about first impressions, some rookie salespeople may think it's the first time they get face-to-face with the client, but many times an impression is made by the phone call, by the tone of voice, how quickly the call is returned, and an email with misspellings in it. How do you deal with that kind of situation?
Well, I'm a proponent of first impressions not being emails. You don't want somebody to meet the person that they're going to spend $1 million with over some words. You want them to know you. You want to gain credibility. And I think email, we've all gotten accustomed to email, and email takes away credibility from people. You can't get a sense of who you're dealing with, and you certainly can't communicate everything with enthusiasm and passion through email.
Wait, you just said two words that are usually not in sales manuals: enthusiasm and passion.
If you don't have it, you shouldn't be selling.
But when you said that, your face lit up when you said enthusiasm and passion.
Exactly.
And you know what? I talked to the Notre Dame coach, Brian Kelly, just a few weeks ago, and he said you have to have a passion for what you do. Does that pertain to selling too?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, if you don't have that passion, why would the client have passion about dealing with you? If you don't have enthusiasm, you're projecting that you are just coming across as a car salesman and you're just trying to make a sale rather than improve someone's business. You don't want to come across as a salesperson. You want to come across as a consultant to their business.
So you want to learn their business as well.
Absolutely. I want to learn everything about their business. I want to learn everything about the people that run their business. And I want to know what makes the decision maker wake up in the middle of the night sweating and worrying about what the company's going to, what direction the company's going to go. If you can get all that and solve that problem, you're probably going to have a client for life.
Client for life. We've been talking with Dave Drucker, sales, radio, TV, elevators. You've sold just about everything, mostly intangibles, and you sell very well because you're one of the most respected trainers in the country. When we come back with our next session, will you talk a little about relationships?
Oh, absolutely.